but don't dislike her or say you don't like her when really the underlying reason is she caught your ass. Like, what's up, everybody? Thank you guys for joining us on Girlfriends with Girlfriends, where me and three of my best girls talk about the show Girlfriends. It's an amazing show. It has stood the test of time because 20 years later, it is finally on Netflix. So every week you'll see us here talking about the themes, the fashions, everything, because we are still binge watching and we are still obsessed with this show. So joining me is your girl Ashley Chantrice. I have one of my best friends since high school, Khadijah Ayanla, with the curly hair with the Beyonce waves coming on through.
You got the curl pattern popping today.
Yes, she does, honey. And then next we have my co-host Prissy Missy with the 90 Day Fiance commentary. What's up, girl?
Hey guys.
Yes, makeup. The face is beat, honey, to the god.
Thank you, honey.
And then last but certainly not least, one of the most loyal women on the planet, we have Miss Mary Ando, my Ghanaian queen. What's going on in Chicago?
Hey, y'all.
So today, last week was the Thanksgiving episode, and shout out to everyone who has followed us on Instagram, who has been participating in our polls, our questionnaires, our memes, just the whole community of people who love the show and love discussing it, love laughing about it because it's still funny. Shout out to Golden Brooks, my girl, who followed us and who has been supporting our page and just been showing us so much love. You'll always be Maya, but you know, we love you, girl. We're excited for more of your projects, so keep us posted. So last week we discussed the Thanksgiving episode. This week is Maya's vow renewal. Remember at the end of the last episode, after, you know, they almost burned down Joan's house, Maya said this was the come to Jesus moment. Darnell and I are going to renew our vows. And Maya has always been very vocal about the fact that she married Darnell at a really young age. You know, they had a baby in high school. So they've been probably married at this point for maybe like 6 or 7 years. So now it's time for, you know, her to plan this vow renewal, this party, this occasion with her family. And now she's friends with Joan and her girls. And y'all know Joan is control freak, type A personality. She loves to plan and do things, and it's either her way or no way. And her demeanor is a lot different than Maya and her family. So when you kind of mix those two worlds, it's like, okay, what's going to happen? So I remember the episode starting off like really good, you know, like she showed up to Maya's home with her mom and some of her family, and then Joan starts talking and being Joan and giving her feedback that no one asked for. So Mary, how do you feel about how Joan tried to she tried to take over Maya's moment? So how do we feel about Joan trying to, you know, just take over and give her input where no one asked for it?
I think this was the first episode that I realized Joan can be extremely selfish. I feel like Joan gets a pass on the show a lot of times because she is so kind-hearted, but we have to realize like you could be really kind-hearted and also have some of those negative characteristics. And I think this is the first episode that we see like Joan is very self-absorbed and very, very selfish, because I think at some point in the episode, Lynn and even Tony had to tell her like, you're trying to give someone the wedding of your dreams because you want to be married, because you want all these things. And so the friendship went completely out the window, and it was a chance for, you know, Joan to live out her dreams. And even when Maya asked her to be a bridesmaid, you know, Joan had that camera moment that was very selfish. Like, this is the 15th time I've been a bridesmaid. You know, I'm tired of being a bridesmaid. I want to be married. And so for me, I was just like, this was an example of Joan being, it was like the first time I'm seeing like Joan is desperate for someone, you know, that it would literally kind of mess up a friendship, because that's all she's focused on. She can't be happy for someone when it comes to marriage or relationships, because like she is so lacking in her own. And that was kind of disappointing.
I agree, because, well, first of all, those dresses were ugly. So Joan had every right to, no, she didn't have a right. I take that back. She wasn't wrong. However, I think if you're truly a friend to someone, you put on that ugly bridesmaid's dress, you walk down that aisle. I have been a bridesmaid a few times before. Well, my friends have good taste, sense of fashion, but that's not the point. I feel like you are there for your friend. You're there to show up, make sure she has what she needs, hold her dress while she pees. I've done that like 3 times. And, you know, you're there to make her and her family feel comfortable. And I think, you know, Maya and her mom were completely justified in like not wanting her to be a part of that moment, because it's like, you know, we don't live in Beverly Hills. We don't live in downtown LA. Like, we're in Inglewood, and the way that, you know, middle-class Black people like celebrate things is a lot different than, you know, Joan and her bougie uppity friends, but it's still a cause for celebration. It doesn't make it less than, because it's not up to your standard. So yeah, I think it was definitely tacky of Joan to kind of step in and play wedding planner in such a rude way. Like, I'll just be honest, I feel like Joan was very rude. And it absolutely came off elitist. And I think, you know, as this season progresses, Joan, well, in this episode is the first time where Maya calls her classist and egregious. And I couldn't agree more, because that's exactly what the hell she was acting like. So Priscilla, what have your bridesmaid experiences been, or like just wedding experiences? I know Mary and yourself have been a part of some beautiful African weddings, some amazing Ghanaian. Like, I always get so excited when y'all say y'all are in a wedding, because I'm like, oh my God, like the fashion is about to be amazing. So what are your experience? Well, we'll start with you, Priscilla. What's your experience in like being a bridesmaid? Like, did Joan overstep her boundaries, or like what should she have done?
Definitely overstepped her boundaries. Joan was doing too much. She was overshadowing Maya's dream wedding, right? It's like she was taking away from her moment. Like, Maya is married, but like she said, she didn't have the wedding of her dreams. And now she's finally having the wedding that in her mind is like the most beautiful wedding, and you're taking that away because you don't think that it's good enough. And even the comment that she made, like, oh, I'll pay for like whatever you want, like trying to use money, you know, to make this justify the situation, and, you know, not apologize or see why she was wrong in that sense. And I guess there's no way for her to see if she was wrong until she got checked, right? Because you're going to keep doing whatever you're doing, until somebody brings it to your attention. But there's a difference between stating your opinion, like, okay, we know that bridesmaids don't always like the dresses that they're in. But, and you can state your opinion like, hey, I don't think this is best, maybe not the color, but that doesn't mean that you can just completely throw that idea out the door and, you know, make someone feel like, damn, like, you know, their creative idea is not good enough. Like, I always joke around that Mary's going to be my event planner, but I'm really not joking, because like, I would say she can completely take over. Like, she always does my birthdays perfectly. So I trust her ideas. Like, I just don't care. But Maya had her own dream and she had her own idea. But the difference between Maya's wedding, an American wedding versus an African wedding, is the fact that they actually allow you to create your own outfit. So they give you the cloth and you go in and then you create whatever outfit you want. So if your outfit is just as big and booming as the bride, then that is exactly what happens. Like, the bride doesn't see your outfit until the actual wedding day. So you might not like the print, but you can pick your outfit. And so I think that's where the win-win comes in. But it is still stressful because you still want to make sure you look good for the wedding. You still want to make sure you show up for that person. What do they need for like their bridal party? And just things like that. But, you know, African wedding, it's less chill. It's less chill when you're bridesmaids. You ain't got to think about walking down in something crazy. But Joan was right about the outfits. Were they ugly? Yes. But what I will say is, Joan's outfit actually was really nice. I thought it fitted her really nicely.
Well, we know that Joan is never going to fully be the friend that she should when there's a wedding involved. Because regardless of if you feel like it wasn't this opulent affair, Darnell and Maya are a happily married couple. You know what I'm saying? Like, and I think Joan may have been jealous of the fact that they had this 2-bedroom apartment. Like, they didn't live in the best neighborhood, but she had a loving husband who came home to her every night. So I feel like even in season 4, when Tony had a big wedding and everything was grand and expensive, she still showed her ass. So it's like, what is it gonna take for you to be a bridesmaid, a maid of honor who just sits down and shuts up and does her job? Like, I've been a bridesmaid, I've been a maid of honor before. And I think in both instances, like, because it's not my personality to make other people's events about them, but I think, you know, Joan has a tendency to make things about her. Khadijah, what do you think? Do you feel like Maya's mom was justified in kicking her out of her daughter's house? Like, how do you feel like you would have handled that? Let's say Tirza had a Joan friend when you was helping her get ready for her wedding. Like, what is that conversation like?
Oh, absolutely. You can go, because for one, you're insulting. Like, this is what I can give my daughter. Like, this is what I can do for her. This is what I have. This is all I can provide for her. And she likes it. Don't be disrespectful and come and insult us because it's not up to your standards. Like, you get a man and you have a wedding and then you do what you want to do. But until then, if my daughter wants to 2-step down the aisle and eat pizza at her reception, then that's what we're going to do because it's her day. I would have absolutely reacted the exact same way. Your mama bear, the claws come out when somebody is at your child, especially if this is what you can give. And then I like when Maya was telling her, like, so like, you're not even appreciating the fact that my mom is making my dresses. Like, this is a big deal. Like, my aunt's baking a cake and catering like, this is a family affair. Like, I have all the things I've loved growing up around me. Like, you should just appreciate that. But like we said last episode, Joan's family isn't a big part of her. Like, so she doesn't know. I don't think she knows that love and understands that. So you have to know that to respect it.
I agree. And I also want to make the point that I love the writing in this episode, especially Maya's like monologue when she really had to let Joan know what time it was. First of all, Maya let you know that she was from Inglewood in that moment, because she was like, I'm so sick of having to explain to other Black folks what's so special about my neighborhood and where I come from. Because you guys have like been to LA. Like, I've been out here for about 5 years and I live in the Valley, which is a little further than the actual city. But I love going to like Inglewood in the inner city. First of all, I'm from a predominantly Black area, so I feel most comfortable in those areas. But I feel like a lot of people come to LA and feel like it's Hollywood, or it's the downtown area, and you say LA is fake and you want to be exposed to, Black LA culture, but you don't go to Leimert Park, you don't go to Compton, you don't go to Watts, you know what I mean? Like, everything and all the people down there and the culture is beautiful. And I feel like what was so amazing about Girlfriends is it really put on blast the classism that Black people have had to deal with. Here's Maya, she's from Inglewood. She wasn't able to finish her degree, but she got a job at a law firm, and she's around all of these like highly educated people, and her and Joan have developed a friendship, but there's still some differences in like how they speak and how they interact and things like that. And I didn't like the fact, and this was like a running joke throughout the series, Joan made a comment like, what colors should I not wear when I come to your house? Like, ain't that some ignorant mess? Like, first of all, if whatever color you wear, if you get hemmed up, don't wear it no more. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, that's nobody's fault but your own. But don't make that comment and feel like when you're around predominantly Black people, when you're in a Black area, like you have to be afraid or be scared. Like that's the same thing as like a white woman locking her doors when she sees a Black man. You know what I'm saying? Like Joan really used to get on my nerves with that. And for the most part, Maya kind of rolled with the punches because I feel like she tried not to take it personally. But I feel like after the whole, you know, wedding thing and her criticizing a lot of things, she just had enough. And she was well within her rights to call her Booker T. Clayton. She was well within her rights to read her for filth. And I think Joan looked at Maya. I don't think she respected Maya. I think she looked at her as a project, like, oh, this little hood girl, I'm going to help her. I'm going to give her some clothes and a job and, you know, teach her how to use the correct words in the right context. Like, I think she was a friend to Maya, but she came off as classist and egregious. Mary, how do you feel about, you know, how the classism in the, you know, the Black conservative narrative was kind of placed within this show? I really love how they handled it, and they just kind of like blew the roof open with it.
Yeah, I really, really like this episode because I feel like, you know, when we all look at each other as Black people, we just assume like we're together, right? Like we're always going to be on the same page. But as you kind of just move forward in life, you realize like everyone comes from different experiences. And I think to your point about what Maya said, when Joan threw out that she got Maya that shirt, I was like, oh, like, whoa, you know what I'm saying? Like, as a friend, if you give your friend something, it's not supposed to come up in an argument. Like, I personally don't feel that way. Like, I feel like if you bring up something that you did for someone in an argument or to make them feel bad, like, you weren't doing it for the right reasons, clearly. Like, and to your point, you felt like, I do feel like Joan loved Maya as a friend, but to your point, like, if you gave her a shirt and that's the first thing that comes up to you, like it comes up in your mind when we're arguing, then you do look down on me, you know? And Maya made a point about how Joan had never been to her house. And I didn't realize that, but like, that's important in a friendship, right? Like, at first I was like, oh, it's not a big deal. Like, Maya's always coming over. But I think to her point of like, me needing to show people what's special about my neighborhood, if that's your friend, why wouldn't you say like, hey, I want to come over. I want to see where you live. Like, you know what I'm saying? I want to come visit you and your husband and your kid. So I think Joan has an issue with just feeling like her way is the best way, how she grew up is the best way. And I know in college, like, I kind of had a conversation like this with my group of friends, because when we first met in freshman year, I always get told that like I speak white. Like, that has just been a constant theme that I've always gotten. And one of my close friends always gets that too. And so one of our good friends now, she told us, she's like, when I met y'all, like, y'all sounded like two Valley girls, like, you know, just, you know, uppity, this, that, whatever. And I know, and one time we were talking about something and we said something was ghetto. And our friend like had a talk with us about that. And she was just like, I feel like the way y'all said it, I didn't like the way y'all said it because like I come from the hood. You know what I'm saying? And I just feel like y'all haven't experienced that. So even though you're Black, I don't feel comfortable with, you know, the way y'all just be throwing it out there. And so we weren't friends at that time, but through that conversation, I realized what she meant. And that's actually why I feel uncomfortable when like white people say ghetto or hood, because I realized, I'm like, if that's not something you've experienced, throwing that out there is very uncomfortable. So that was like a lesson I had to learn as someone who grew up in the suburbs, you know, that there's just some ways that you can come across that you need to work on if you're going to be friends with people. So I feel like Maya was totally justified in how she read Joan and how they portrayed just like that conversation.
When she gave her back that old raggedy shirt and walked out of her office, Joan was sitting there looking stupid and the audience clapped as well as they should. Yeah, I think Joan learned a lesson in this episode. And first of all, like we said, the bridesmaids' dresses weren't cute, but it's not your job to say whether they are or aren't. You put it on, you be a good friend. No idea why they had it in her living room. Like, y'all couldn't go to a park or something. Like, I don't know. But you know, if that's my friend, like, girl, like, where you want me to hang these decorations? Like, the kitchen, the bathroom, you want me to help you move this couch? Like, you're just supposed to put all your BS aside, like whatever you may think. And then when you start to think those things, be like, hold on, I'm being a bitch right now. Like, let me go burn some sage and say some prayers, talk to the ancestors. Like, I just think, you know, Joan kept getting read for filth. And it's so interesting to me because she's from Fresno. Like, that is such a country, like, small city type thing. Like, you're not that girl. And I think what I appreciate about Toni is she's upfront with her bouginess. You know what I'm saying? Like, in the third or fourth season, she was like, girl, I don't know who you think I am. Let you drag my cute ass down to Inglewood. Like, she's upfront with her bouginess. And it's like, okay, whatever, that's Toni. But I think Joan really tries to put on a front that we are the world, and I love all the children and the birds and the monkeys. But then she'll say something like, oh, what color should I not wear when I come to your neighborhood? Like, bitch. Like, you know, so we expect that from William. We expect that from Toni. Lynn is just going to go wherever she gets a free meal. So we're not concerned about her. But Joan, I feel like, you know, she tries to put on this we are the world front, but really, you know, she's classist and egregious. I love those words. Like, I can't wait till I'm in an argument and I'm like, you're just so classist and egregious. But yeah, Priscilla, what else do you think about the ending and how it was resolved? Why does it always feel like Joan's messing up somebody's wedding and then comes back in the last minute in an outfit she wasn't supposed to wear and just throwing off the optics of the picture? Priscilla, like, what do we think about the resolution at the end?
Well, first off, we need to remember that Joan is a lawyer, so she is able to manipulate her way into any situation. And people don't seem to, because Maya was like, how did she get the dress? Her mom was like, you know, she's a lawyer, she does that talk, you know? So we just need to remember she knows how to squeeze her way back into situations. And you as a person might not even realize it, but she uses that psychology on you because once she knows how each one of her friends moves, and then on top of that, she's a lawyer. So it's like, you know, just mentally, she just knows how to, you know, work you, right? As far as the ending, I'm happy that she was in the wedding because actually I would have felt bad. And I think that honestly, that would have caused more of a rift in their relationship. But I think that it would have allowed Joan to see herself more and maybe self-reflect. And then maybe we would have seen a different type of Joan throughout the season.
It's called wisdom. Live long enough.
Because of this huge like impact on the wedding, because your friend's wedding is a big deal. So if you get cut out of your friend's wedding, that's essentially like ending a friendship, right? Like, it's a big moment in that person's life. And so for me, if Joan wasn't in the wedding, honestly, she would have had to do some self-reflection. I would have wanted to see that, but I'm glad that she came in. And I don't even think she really apologized, did she? Like, she was just kind of like, it's just kind of like she showed up and was like, okay, got some tears. And so do I think that it was really resolved? No. But like I said, she knows how to manipulate people. She showed up with the dress and was like, okay, I'm just going to do what I guess she wanted me to do. Is kind of like how I feel like it ended on that note. Like, I don't think she was really sorry.
I think so either. And then also, they hadn't known each other that long. So the fact that Maya wants you to be in my wedding, you're my boss, like, you're not one of my friends or my relatives. So it's just like the fact that this woman extended this invite to you, knows that you're bougie, let you slide with that comment about colors to wear to your neighborhood, like, and then you still show up and you act like that. Like, it's just like, man, I want people to like, no, Joan, like, don't dislike her. You just got to watch a few more episodes. She makes it so hard sometimes, like, girl.
It's just like, just know your place. You know what I'm saying? Like, she didn't come in there and say, hey, I'm just giving you all this creative design. I know you got money, so can you like pay? Like, she literally was like, yo, I only have $600. And she really wanted to stick to that $600. And she had a lot of sentimental things around her wedding. And like you said, Joan never had that close family relationship. So she doesn't even know what it's like to have like sentimental moments or things in her life. And she didn't realize these like small things. Like, first of all, Vera Wang, like, sorry, Vera Wang, but like, not everyone's gonna goddamn wear Vera Wang, okay? Like, no offense to Vera Wang, but like, you know, these small moments, like, my mom making that dress, that's something you can never take back, but that's a memory that I'll always have for like the rest of my life, you know what I'm saying? Rather than like wearing a designer or like, you know, sometimes people wear crust and stuff from like, you know, down the line and whatnot. But yeah, Joan needs to learn her place.
How do you feel about the fact that this vow renewal came, let me see, 2 or 3 episodes after we found out Darnell was feeding another chick strawberries? I don't like that.
There's science and scientific proof. It's biology.
Like it either. But I feel like she probably was just trying to, like, she was grasping at ways to get it back to where it was. Like, she's trying to like steer the train, put the train back on course before they get off. Like, let's go back to this wedding that we never got to have. Like, let's relive our honeymoon phase, and then maybe you won't be at work feeding strawberries or letting some chick feed strawberries to you, or however it was going. But like, Maya was just trying to fix it before it got too far out of hand. Like, she was trying to save her family. I personally probably would have tried to do the same thing, because like, this is long term. You've been with this person since she was in high school. Like, you're like, okay, this is all I've ever known. Let's run this back. Like, let's rewind. Let's pinpoint where we went wrong. Let's just reset button and see if we can do this over. But Darnell, he got lucky. Really. Like, he got lucky. Because he knew that she would try to fix it. So I don't even know how genuine it was on his end. He's like, I'm in the doghouse. I'm gonna do whatever you want to get out so I can go back to eating these strawberries. Work.
Right. He got his work wife and then his real wife getting married in his living room, her and her old ungrateful, jealous friend. He probably was like, you know what? Let me just show up in my suit so these bitches can get out my face.
He never liked Joan. And we get more into that. But yeah. He was like, the other ones he could deal with. It was something about that Joan that he was just, and when your man tells you, they usually do have like some kind of intuitive third eye about a friend. It's so weird.
I agree with that. Did we talk about this? But did y'all know why they switched the Darnells as actors? Because I felt like I was into Flex as Darnell. Like, he was humorous and he was comedy. Like, the other actor who played second Darnell, he was fine too. But I feel like he didn't have the comedic. Did they feel like Flex was too funny? Because like Darnell was way more like happy and like, I don't know, comedic. And then when they got the new Darnell, he was more like
serious.
Yeah, he was really serious.
They didn't click. It was just, there was no chemistry.
None.
I think I read somewhere that he left Girlfriends because he booked one-on-one.
Oh.
So it was probably more money, like it was a lead role. So I'm not sure if that's 100% true, but I actually didn't care for Flex as Darnell. Like, I prefer Khalil. Shout out to him. He is still looking as good as he did in Paid in Full, honey. Not Paid in Full. What was the movie he did with Tupac?
Poetic Justice. He was in that. Was that him at the beginning who got shot?
No, that wasn't. What was the movie? Oh, Juice. Yeah.
I've never seen that.
I never seen it.
Revoke my car.
I never care for Flex and Maya. I don't feel like they had chemistry. I feel like the second Darnell, I like the fact that he was more serious, because it kind of built up to the whole Stan thing. You know what I'm saying? With him not supporting Maya going back to school, and like him not liking her friends. Like, I don't know. I think, first of all, I get what you're saying, sister, about your man kind of letting you know, like, that was not your friend. I get it. But at the same time, I feel like he didn't like Joan because Joan told the truth about him.
Joan knew. That's true. I forgot that part. Joan did see through him.
Right. I've been in that position where I saw something and told something that I didn't even know was a secret, just in passing, like, oh, I saw XYZ, da 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 da, and it was like, well, he told me X, Y, and Z, and so that I wasn't liked. And I feel like sometimes it's really not about, oh, that girl is not your friend. Like, I get it if your man is really intuitive and he's like, okay, this girl is fake or whatever. But I feel like Lord, I'm saying everybody's name but his. Darnell like Joan because of how she told on him, and I don't think that was fair. Because it's like if you want to tell your wife like that someone's not her friend, make it be a real reason. You know, make it because she came and tried to, you know, be Martha Stewart at your wedding and she looked down on you. Like, say all of that, but don't dislike her or say you don't like her when really the underlying reason is she caught your ass. Like,
and what do you expect? Like, they get so offended when you tell like your friend, like, this is my friend. Who are you to me? I don't owe you anything. Like, this is my friend. If I see something that probably shouldn't be happening, you have to say something. I had a whole situation like that where I told someone, like, I'm supposed to tell, and because I told, I was jealous and bitter, and I just was unhappy, so I wanted everybody else to be unhappy. Like, no, sir. Go away.
Would people do that now? It's so funny that's coming up because I was having this conversation yesterday. Like, at this point, because, you know, things change. Like, when I was in college, like, I was the first one to tell. I think we talked about it in like one of the old, I was the first one to tell. But recently, because I've seen how relationships go where people will stay with that person, and if I know that that's kind of what's in the cards, like, it doesn't happen often, but I knew a couple years ago, one of my friends, I saw her child's father on the dating apps, and I knew they were on and off, and I was just like, oh, this dude. And I didn't say anything to her, and I was happy I didn't say anything to her because, like, later on, like, they had another child together, and like they were on and off. So I was just like, I think with some situations, like, the person is gonna move on when they want to move on. So for that situation, I remember being like, dang, like, should I tell or not? And then I just never said anything because I'm like, she know what he'd be up to. And eventually he was out the picture. But I always did wonder, I'm like, you know, at this point, you know, where, like, how do you toe the line? Like, there are some things, like, there are some friends that I'm going to be like, oh yeah, I'm going to let you know. But there are some others that I'm just like, they're on and off. This is what happens, you know, so I'm just going to leave it alone.
See, if you're a good friend, like me, when I get information from a friend, I'm not going to tell you that my friend told me this, because if I do stay with you or whatever, I'm not going to have you hating her. So I'm going to use either a lesser known friend that, like, she's disposable, or I'm going to make up some complete lie about how I found out. I have lots of time to use a lesser known friend, like, well, such and such, well, who is that? It doesn't matter. But she saw you and she told me. Or if you find out. I do that, but that's sneaky. But you have to be, you want to keep the peace later.
Yep.
Oh, well, shit happens. Shit happens.
Like, on social media, like, I see, you know, I had seen something, but that's a good, I like that.
Yeah.
Just Who was that? I never met her. I'm like, oh, that's, you didn't meet her, but she saw you.
I showed her your Instagram. No, I have a friend like that. I feel like she's kind of like a Joan, and I think Joan might actually be an Aries, so Virgo. We can talk about that later. But like, she'll insert herself into like situations that I feel like she doesn't need to insert herself into. Like, she was on a dating app and she saw this one girl's fiance on there. Mind you, they haven't really talked in like a while. Fiance. And she had messaged me. She was like, oh, I don't know if I should like tell her that I just saw her man on this dating app. And I'm like, well, if you haven't really like talked to her, I don't think it's like really your business. But then she was like, she felt like if she's gonna marry this guy, like she needs to know like what's going on. And I'm like, is it really worth it? So she actually did end up telling the girl, and the girl got mad at her, and the girl ended up still staying with the guy too. But I think also, like, I haven't talked to you in like a long time, and then now you just come out of nowhere and tell me about my cheating fiance. I'm sure she was embarrassed, you know, on top of that. So I just feel like some things you just need to like leave alone. Just know where your place is, you know? And like Mary said, some people are gonna go back with somebody. You just gotta let go and let God. Let them live their best lives. Like, seriously. I'm not about to be out here stressed with you.
But to Prissy's point, Joan had the best dress out of all the ugly dresses. Like, hers fit her frame. There was a cute little high-low thing going on. It was just the material that was trash, but like, she had the best dress.
What else happened in this episode? That's the only thing, because usually there's like two different like intersecting stories, right? What was the other storyline?
Tony and Lynn were trying to get William to date a Black woman. Like, Tony had this whole issue with Black men getting with white women, and which you know what, she said she felt like it would make him less Black for him to be seen at a wedding, you know, with a white woman, because William had said he was going to bring a white woman as his date, and you know, that would take away from, you know, who he was as a Black man. But I mean, we definitely do see this a lot, but I don't think that it was their job to insert themselves to feel like that would make him less Black or make him more Black because of who he was with. And I mean, we saw what's her name? Tony, she dated a white man. I mean, did the conversation come up as to, you know, why, you know, did that make her less Black? We actually celebrated it, you know, everybody was like happy for her. So I don't know, I just didn't agree with that. I just didn't like it. I just feel like people need to be free to date whoever they want. It opens your eyes to maybe different cultures, and maybe you're not meant to be with a Black person, you know what I'm saying? Like,
Whatever that means.
Like the narrative that Black women really care what Black men do or who they date. We don't care. Most times, 98% of the time, you're doing us a favor. They aren't, most of them that you think you're snatching up aren't prizes. There are throwaways. And I don't like this narrative of, you know, Black women just looking at a Black guy with a white girl and we just care so much. First of all, I barely saw you there. You're not memorable. You look like nothing. So, you know, just, I don't like the fact that this was, you know, the second storyline that, you know, it's something that we really care about when we actually don't. But yeah, no, Priscilla, you're absolutely right. It shouldn't matter, you know, and it shouldn't matter because it's not a topic of any conversation I've ever been a part of. I forgot that was like a thing, because what overpowered the episode mostly was, you know, Joan being classist and egregious. But, you know, we never saw William with a white woman.
No, not physically, from what I remember.
And then Tony had all that to say, and she married a white man. So what?
I think Tony was just going through a phase once again in her life. She just wanted to feel important, and she made that point too in the episode that would give her like brownie.
On the flip side, as somebody dating outside of their race, Black men don't like it. Like, they do not like it. So for us to be like, oh, you know, just do you. I have like had people ask me, do you feel safe? Like, do you feel protected dating a white guy? Or how, like, what does he do for you? Like, just the most like off the wall questions. And I'm like, why? Like, I don't ask you, does Molly over here season your chicken? When she, like, I don't, that's none of my business. Like, I'm not going to.
Maybe you should ask.
I should start doing that. Like, do you feel protected? Or just all kinds of stuff. Or
Does
like,
she use a washcloth?
Yeah, or when I first
Does she wash?
When I first posted like a picture, it was someone like who had liked me and been like pursuing me, like slid in my inbox like, this makes you unattractive. I'm like, okay, well, you weren't getting any play anyway. So good. Now maybe you'll leave me alone. It's just for them, like, they have a lot to say. On the flip side, when like we step out of our race, it's a problem, but we're supposed to just like, okay, go ahead. Like, we've been watching you guys do this forever. Like, it's just literally what you're gonna do forever. Like, this is just, I'm not gonna judge you. Like, this is the person you like. This person makes you smile. Okay.
Right.
But I just have to throw that out there because I have seen it. I didn't pay attention.
This makes you unattractive. Like, did you have a chance with me anyway? So, like, the audacity to even think, like, that this affected any sort of chance that you would have, you didn't have a chance.
Like, no, like, it's the white guy for me. I'm going to take a pass on you. I haven't responded to you in a month. Like, you were going to take a pass anyway. I handed you the pass.
Oh, my gosh. I do feel like there is still that weirdness that I think happens when you're out with someone who's not of your race. Because, like, my brother's ex-girlfriend, they were together for quite some time, and she was Asian. And they used to get, like, very weird looks all the time. And, like, for me, that made me feel bad because it's like, I'm not going to have somebody with my brother who doesn't treat him right and is not wonderful and like just nice and a sweetheart. And I knew she was. So just for the looks that some people would give her sometimes, I'm just like, dang, can y'all just let people just live? Just let people live. I think it's to your point, Ashley, about how like there is this, I was asked that one time by a white coworker, and she asked me, she was like, do Black women get upset when we date Black men? And I literally told her, I'm like, no, we don't, as long as the reasoning is not, hey, I'm dating a white woman because Black women have attitudes, or Black women are too much and too loud. Like, date because you want to date. Don't date and put down another race at the same time. And she was like, oh, okay, that makes sense. And she was dating a Black man that I knew at the time. And she was like, because he told me that. And I was like, am I surprised? Am I surprised that he told you that Black women are hating and get upset when y'all date Black men? You know, and so I wasn't surprised. Like, the narrative was in her head because he told her that. Like, and so I had to clear it up. I'm like, girl, no. And we don't want him.
What is it that we don't like? The raisins in the potato salad?
I'm here to tell you right now, we don't care.
Let me tell you,
we don't care.
That's interesting.
Because
they ain't telling white girls we jealous of them. So what is it?
And then I had to explain, like, I'm not with a white person because I'm done with Black guys, or Black guys are this or that, or there's so many negative things. I'm like, no, I just like them. Like, it's not to put, like Mary said, like, I hate when you have to justify why you're with someone and put other people down. Like, just say you like the girl and go. Like, it's nobody cares. It's you. I'm not laying down with you. She is. I don't care. So just kind of stay in your lane when it comes to that. Like, you're with this person because you want to be with this person. Nobody made you do this. Don't care what experience you had. Like, even if you were moving on, say you were in a relationship with a Black person, you're moving on with another Black person. Like, you can't let that baggage come into this one. Same thing with interracial. Like, just go. Take your white girl and go.
Khadijah, we know you trying to get that good credit score, girl. I ain't mad at you.
Michael, air him out. I think mine is better.
Joining me today. Thank you so much for everyone tuning in every week for Girlfriends with Girlfriends. Thank you for all the love and the support. Thank you to the cast and crew who interact with us. Shout out to Golden Brooks for following us. Oh, hell yes. We love you, girl. Let us know about any new projects you have coming up. We'll be happy to support you and promote you. To my three best girlfriends, Khadijah, Miss Prissy, Missy, and Mary, for joining us today. And every week, this is like our therapy session. We get on here and we talk about girlfriends. So like, comment, and subscribe. Let us know what you thought about the episode. Let us know what you think about interracial dating, the class war between Joan and Maya, Booker T. Clayton versus W.E.B. Du Bois, Maya Wilkes. So yeah, comments, let us know what it is, but we'll be back next week. Thank you guys for joining us. Bye-bye. You cannot talk about anyone submitting to you and following your lead when you can't even draw your own back.